be getting started in just a few minutes. Good morning. There's nothing to hear yet. We're not speaking. So if you hear me, you got it. Welcome, everyone. We will be getting started in a few minutes. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. And over the course of our time together, we will be working to answer those, as well as we'll have a few minutes at the end. I will warn you, we have, the voice is too low. I would check the volume on your computer. If others want to weigh in and let me know. Oh, somebody else, our friend Sherry can hear me very well. Thank you, Sherry. Sounds perfect to me. Thank you, Maggie. Glad to know you're hearing me. So if I sound low, it could be the volume on your computer. Thank you, Hilda. Thank you, D. Letterer. All right. Oh, there's too many of you now responding. So thank you all. I appreciate the feedback. That's terrific. Glad to know you're out there and you're hearing. All right. And Staten Island is in the house. That's great. Welcome. Welcome. That's a great idea. Why doesn't folks just, as we're waiting till we achieve 1 o'clock, let us know which borough you're or where you are located and listening in from. Brooklyn. Oh, a lot of Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan. Do I hear Staten? Oh, we had a Staten Island. We started there. There we go. The Bronx is in the house. Harlem, Westchester. Whoa, it's going so fast. Brooklyn. Oh, somebody gave an exact address. I won't share that. Westchester, Staten Island, Manhattan. All right, we got the 5 boroughs. We are here. Schoharie. I don't even know where that is. Long Island City, we have Randall's Island. So all of our islands are covered. That's good to hear. Great. Welcome. Welcome. If you have questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A section. I see some folks have already started. I'm just putting this in the chat. Okay, born in Brooklyn, work in Queens, and thank you, and live on Long Island. So thank you for sharing all of your whereabouts. I have a similar story. Great. Welcome. Welcome. I see folks are raising their hands. Just because the size and volume of participants on this webinar, we're not going to be able to call on folks. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat. As I said, we're not going to be able to answer questions live. There's already over 700 people, and we have over 2,500 who've registered. So it would just be a little too chaotic. So please use the Q&A function. OLR after my name means the Mayor's Office of Labor Relations, which is my agency. Also, I see questions are coming in. The chat right now is just designed to share with the host, me, and the panelists. And that's why we are using the Q&A feature, so that this way, once we answer it, everyone will be able to see the question and the answer. I see somebody's retiring at the end of this year. Congratulations. This is the Work Well Road to Retirement webinar. At this point, we don't have anything scheduled for another, but NYCERS will talk about the various programs they have to support retirees. Okay, yes, the PowerPoint, we are both recording this session, and we will be sending out the recording, the slides, and all of the resources. Okay, I see somebody said my voice isn't clear. You might check your computer. because others are hearing loud and clear. So it could be on your end. But thank you all for being here. All right, well, why don't we get started? And as I've been saying, as you've been coming on, welcome to the Road to Retirement, the August 2023 edition of our program. We're really excited to be here and collaborating with our colleagues from New York City Aging, the New York City Employees Retirement System, and the New York City Deferred Compensation Program. So my name is Debbie Friedman. I'm Assistant Commissioner for the New York City Mayor's Office of Labor Relations. And one of my pride and joys are working closely with all of the colleagues here at WorkWell NYC. So what are we doing here today? Well, first, I'm sorry, WorkWell. I always forget. So WorkWell is the worksite wellness program for City of New York employees. As we know, New York City employees are busy all day taking care of New Yorkers. Whoever is here are New Yorkers, and we're here to care for them. And so WorkWell is here to care for city employees. And we do that in a range of different areas. I'm sure many of you participated in our Move More Step Challenge, Let's Move NYC, which we had earlier in the spring, and many of our digital and in-person fitness classes, our on-demand classes, and many other ways to just get active as part of our physical health. We also have our Eat Well, focus on healthy eating, nutrition classes, cooking classes. We have a partnership with Weight Watchers with significant discounts to help all of us be our healthiest self when it comes to food and nutrition. We have our Take Action Primary Care and Prevention Program, which helps us. So we're getting ready, and we'll talk more later about our big flu clinics happening at work sites in the fall, diabetes prevention, hypertension prevention, and many other ways of, again, just being there to take care of our health. And then we have our Be Well bucket, which is all about mental well-being and resilience, recognizing that it's not just physical health, but mental health as well. What's above the neck and what's below the neck are directly connected to our overall well-being. And we recognize we can only do this if we have access to health through our health equity lens. And so we are looking to support all of our employees to live their healthiest life, for our work sites to support the health and well-being, and to address issues that are of concern to our employees, like how do we prepare for retirement? So what we're going to be doing today is helping you to understand the importance of planning for retirement. And again, it's not just financial, which we'll spend a lot of time on, but it's also the emotional and physical, the social side as well. We want to provide you with some important tools that will help you prepare in this way. And when we will give you other resources that will provide support. And also recognizing not everybody's ready to retire at the same time. My mother wasn't ready until she was 82. I hope I'll be ready sooner, but we'll see. As we said in the advance notice, we will not be talking about the health plan, the retiree health plan today, and we'll provide a resource that you can go to the website for more information. So as I said earlier, I just want to repeat some housekeeping. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A using that function on your computer, and some of the staff who are participating will be working to answer those questions as the seminar is going on. And don't put it in the chat because others won't be able to see your question. The chat is just going to the host and panelists. Again, we are recording this. We are going to be sending to all of the participants the recording, the slides, the resources, and the links to the items that are mentioned here in the session. So with that, I'm really excited to see who's in the room. So we're going to move next to a poll. Are you planning to retire? And we'll give Sanmati a moment to pull up the poll. Okay. Are you planning to retire in the next year, 2 to 5 years, 6 to 7 years, more than 7 years, or you never want to retire? So we'll give it a moment for folks to finish loading it up. Thank you all for participating. All right, let's see. So we have 26%, a quarter of you are going to be retiring in the next year. Congratulations. 40% in the next 2 to 5 years, and 11% 6 to 7 years, and 20% of you in more than 7 years. Well, good for you for being here, and good for you, 8 people who never want to retire. That's amazing. God bless you. We need you. All right. Well, thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce our first panelist. Toby Abramson is the Director of Geriatric Mental Health Initiatives at the New York City Department of Aging. So Toby, take it away.
Thanks, Deb, and everybody for being here today. So, the concept of retirement is constantly changing. So now, in today's world, anybody can expect to live anywhere from 20 to 40 years in this, what we call post-retirement life. And that's never happened in our history. So it's really a very new phase. So retirement's going to play a major role in your life. And when most people think about retirement, what do we think about? We worry about our finances. Like, am I going to have enough money to live on? That becomes front and center, I think, for everybody on this meeting, and then some. So today I want you to think, you definitely will hear more about that, but it's also really important to remember that you have to think about how to approach retirement from a social and emotional standpoint as well. Like, how do you be prepared so you're not anxious about retiring? So retirement can be involuntary for some, it can be abrupt, and that becomes very challenging. And for others, there are other factors that go into the reason for retiring. Too many to name here, and you all know them. So it's really important to remember that not all of us on this webinar today are going to face retirement in the same way. So about a third of us are going to continue to work, and some of you said you're going to never stop working. A third of us will have financial security and don't need to work. But a third of us are somewhere in the middle, which means that for many people, retirement's going to be this mix of periods of work mixed with periods of leisure time. So how do you prepare for that? Next slide, please. So as you can see, there are different emotional stages to retirement, not only your financial readiness, but your emotional readiness. I want you to think about these phases, specifically liberation, reorientation, and reconciliation. And most of you are probably in that liberation, almost the liberation phase. But I do want to talk about the large percent that are here for the up to 5 years, the anticipation. Remember, each phase has a different emotional attachment to it. So about 6 to 15 years before you retire, and some of you are in that category, you start to think about retirement, like, what's it going to be like? Do I want to find a new place to live? What's my lifestyle? But 41% of you are in that 2 to 5 year period. That's that anticipation phase. And thinking that retirement is going to be a fantastic time in one's life. And so that's something else we have to think about. Who am I going to be? What is going to be like? And even in that category, most people put away money for retirement. They figure out how much they're going to need. But what else are we going to do? Then those are the liberation. And many of us are getting closer to that. About 26% of you are about a year away. You're ready for that liberation phase. That starts the day of retirement and 1 year following that. That is the euphoria phase, and it tends to last about a year. Yippee! I'm done with work. We call it the honeymoon phase. I don't have to get up early. I don't have to get dressed. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, except it doesn't last. So then you move into the reorientation phase. That's about 2 years to 15 years after retirement. At that very beginning where you were happy and no alarm, no commute to work. Now it's now what? So it's not uncommon to have a sense of feeling left down. Not everybody feels that way, but many. And then about 16 years after retirement, you start to you can contemplate what comes next. You're hopeful, you've accepted this, you're in a groove. Next slide. So I want you to start to visualize as these questions come up on the screen. When you think about retirement or you're being in retirement and you're starting that honeymoon phase, questions come up of who am I now? When am I without work? How do I address my identity? So most of us have spent so much time of our lives in work, we don't always know who we are without that sense of responsibility, title, job description. So now, right now, each and every one of you, before you retire, I want you to start to ask yourself these important questions. It will make you much more successful in your retirement. Money matters, no doubt, but it's not all about money. So we need to think about who I am. What do I like to do? What's the most important things to me? What kind of relationships do I want to maintain? What's my purpose and my passion? Start a journal. Start writing these down. Each page, put down some information on what's my purpose? What do I like to do? And what have I always wanted to do I never got to do? What do I never want to do again? I have many dear colleagues who are teachers who say, don't want to work with kids again. I want to do something new and exciting. That's great. Some of you will go back and sub. There are all different ways to do that. Next slide. This is a model that was put forth by psychologist Robert Seligman. And why I love this model is because it talks about how do you flourish in life in general, but specifically in retirement. And this acronym of PERMA, PERMA is positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. So ask yourself, what do I value? What makes me feel happy? So learning how to practice gratitude, helping to, the more you build your positive emotions, the more we know it's a buffer against negative emotions and health consequences. So find gratitude, focus on joy in whatever you do. Some people do gratitude journals. Engagement. How are you going to stay connected? At work, it's really easy. You go next door, you talk to somebody on your floor. When you're not working, how do you stay connected? How are you using your time each day? You can't change the number of hours in a day, but you certainly can change how you use your time. Humans thrive on connections of love, of intimacy, of physical and emotional interaction, of engaging with others. So how do you build that in when it's outside of a work setting? Look at your relationships, the importance of how you're connected to others. You know, those connections, we know social supports and those connections buffer against health consequences and life changes. So how do you nurture those personal relationships? Maybe there are relationships you haven't had a chance to nurture while you were working. Now's a great time to find them before you retire so that they're in place when you go to retire. How do you find meaning? Creating passion and purpose is essential to thriving. It's not just surviving, you know, like helping other people, trying something new skills. What gives your life a sense of meaning and purpose? And accomplishment. Set goals for yourself. Make a plan that's achievable. You know, telling me I'm going to, you know, run the marathon might be an achievable accomplishment, probably not. But how do you set something that's realistic? Start small and build. Next slide, please. So as we said, many people can anticipate continuing work, but not everybody stays in the careers that they were in. So think about what new opportunities. Is it going back and becoming educated in a different way or retraining? How do you find ways to stay active and integrated? And for some people, that's a different kind of opportunity, right? There's leisure, there's the social pieces, there's volunteering, there's traveling. There's not one fit for everybody. So what new opportunities await you? Is it a second career? Are you going to become a Silver Star, which is New York City Aging's program for retired city employees who want to return to work at a city agency? You can contribute your skills and your knowledge. So that's another way to phase into retirement. I'm not quite ready to leave work and city work, but I don't want to do it in my same agency, or maybe I do, or maybe I don't want to do it full time. And becoming a Silver Star through New York City Department of the Aging could be a great way to transition in a more subtle way. Next slide, please. So again, I want you to think about, how are you going to choose to use your retirement years? Don't just retire and say, now what? By that time, you're already not sure where to go. I like building a journal starting now. It's something that I've been telling my husband, like, make a list of all the things you think you want to do. How am I going to make my mark? If you're going to live 20 to 40 years in retirement, what does that look like, right? How do you fill that? That's a long part of your lifespan. Make it so that you flourish and that you continue to flourish. Next slide. Structure your days. You know, pre-retirement, your routine's down pat, right? Alarm goes off, shower, breakfast, out the door. In retirement, I often recommend that you have a flexible retirement calendar schedule. Pencil in time for lingering over coffee or newspaper. How would you work in your day-to-day world now without a calendar? So retirement should have a calendar. Flexible. Do it in pencil. Erase. Move over. Days don't have to be rigid, but it's important to set wake-up times and routines. Set small goals. Give yourself the flexibility to figure out, now's the time to experiment and to flourish in those new ways. Next slide, please. Think of retirement as a gift. It's a gift that you get to continually reopen. Find that gift box and find something new inside of it each and every time, and trust in the magic of new beginnings. There's no need to figure it out all right away, but have some ideas and then recreate them as you go. So good luck in planning your social emotional retirement.
Thank you so much, Toby. Okay. I realized I forgot to mention, some of you might have been with us on previous Road to Retirement webinars. And so you'll hear that some of the material is the same, because some of this just never changes, but we change, and where we are in our life, in our proximity to retirement changes. So we hear things differently as we go along. So if some of you said, wait, I've heard this before, it's true, you have. Also, just to remind you, we're not going to be calling on people. I see a number of hands raised. If you have questions, please put it in the Q&A, and our staff will be working to try and answer some of those, and we'll have a few minutes of Q&A at the end. But we did receive, I think, over 600 questions prior to the webinar even starting, so thank you for that. So thank you, Toby, for helping us think about mentally retiring. And we know that finances are a big piece of it. And part of it is work that we each individually have to do to figure out what are our financial responsibilities when in retirement. Where do we want to live? How do we want to live? Who do we have to support, etc. So let's move on now to see what resources are available. Obviously, there's Social Security that we've all been contributing. There might be other assets, and there are ways to get savings, including deferred compensation and the amazing New York City pension system, which we'll be focusing on the last two. So let's just do a quick poll of whether or not folks are members of deferred compensation plan. All right, go. All right, it's running neck and neck. Looks like most people are. That's terrific. Thank you for participating. Okay. So let's see. It looks like about 70% of you are participating in and members of the deferred compensation plan, and about 30% are not. So terrific. We have some work to do. With that, I will pass it along to my colleague, Dean Wellman, who is the Executive Counsel here at the Mayor's Office of Labor Relations and oversees our employee benefits program, or with our employee benefits program. Dean, take it away.
Thank you, Deb, and welcome. Thank you for participating in this seminar. So today we're going to talk about deferred comp, but we are also going to talk about the other things that make up financial planning. And if anything that you're going to hear from me today, the most important thing is to plan. You can't do these things and have a comfortable retirement without planning. You have to take the time, go through the process, and plan so that you can have a successful retirement. And I'm going to talk about the couple of different areas where you can begin to do that. So we're going to talk about the role of DCP and how that fits in. Also, your assets, Social Security, a little bit on Medicare, some taxes, estate planning, but all of this goes into how to plan, how to begin to start a plan. If you're going to retire in a year, you got to get started. If you're going to start in 7 years, you have to get started too. No matter where you are, the important thing is to get started and to start planning. Next slide. So we'll start out with Social Security and Medicare. So I even saw some of the questions where you're talking about Social Security. The very, very important thing, Social Security is not easy. Social Security has multiple different benefits and benefit ways you can access your benefits, either from, widows or divorced. It depends on how much you're going to get, how much you've contributed. You can start receiving, if you're eligible, Social Security benefits as early as age 62, and you can actually start getting, or you can wait until you turn 70. Obviously, your maximum benefit will go up if you the later in which you take it. But also how much you get depends on dependents, spouse, survivors, so the important thing here, again, we're always going to come back to planning. You have to go to the Social Security office. You have to get a printout of your working statement. Every year that you worked for the city of New York or wherever you did work and you contributed to Social Security and FICA, you paid into Social Security. And that is going to determine how much your benefits are. So that's where you have to start. You can go online. There's a wonderful Social Security website where you can get your printout of your Social Security years online. You have to do that. And then when you're getting close to being able to get these benefits near 62, but obviously if you're still working, you may say, I don't need them right now, and you can wait until you're later. But you have to go to the Social Security office and sit down with them and make that kind of plan as to when you're going to take it. That is about planning. So that's the first place you got to go. Lots of places you got to go. While you're there, you might want to sit and talk about Medicare benefits. Now, obviously, thank goodness, we all city employees, we're going to get retiree health benefits. An important thing I want you to all remember, if you're over 65 and you're still working for the city of New York, your New York City health benefits are primary. Even though you probably have a Medicare card in your hand, do not use it. Your primary benefits and where you're going to get paid from is your New York City health benefits. Once you leave city service and you retire, then your Medicare benefits are going to become primary. So that's the shift. Again, you'll still get retiree benefits, but once you turn 65 and you're no longer working for the city, Medicare is going to become primary. If you leave the city at 70, that's when Medicare is going to kick in. But again, the important thing, and I have to say this about planning, is that when you do turn 65 and you're not working anymore, you have to get something called Medicare Part B. Now, there's Medicare Part A, which is hospital, and you walk in at 65, they give that to you for free. But Medicare Part B is something you have to pay for. It's like it's an insurance plan, but it's Part B. It covers all of your doctors and things like that. But once you leave city service, you have to start paying for Medicare Part B. Very important. Do not get Medicare Part B until you leave city service, because as I said, you already have city health insurance. Next slide. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about retirement deferred comp. Deferred comp is part of that three-legged stool, and I'm so happy that already 70% of you are involved. We're going to talk to the other 70%, and even though they're getting close to retirement, they should still contribute to deferred comp and get involved, because this is a way that you can save through employee payroll deductions for retirement. And deferred comp has offered you a multitude of different ways to be able to save for retirement. You have your 457 plan, which is specifically for governmental employees. So like police and fire and those people that leave city service at 40 years old, they can immediately just take their money out without any penalty. They're going to be subject to taxes, but they can take it out. Now, 401k plan, which is what you think of in the commercial, that has an early distribution rule of 59.5. But still, deferred comp offers both plans. You could actually contribute to both if you wanted to. Now, if you're in Department of Education or in health and hospitals, you have something called a 403b plan. If you're in the Department of Education, you have your 403b plan. That is your primary form of being able to contribute to retirement savings. So that's what you do. Then deferred comp put in something called a NICE IRA and a spousal IRA. This is a wonderful program because what it does is even after you leave city service, you can actually still continue to save for retirement. You get a part-time job. As Toby was saying, you don't want to retire and get out of the whole thing completely. You may want to work a little bit, but you're not working for the city anymore. This tool allows you to continue to save for retirement, an IRA, and put it in. The beauty of it is that it goes into this big deferred compensation plan contribution. So your investment fees are low. You're still part of the deferred compensation plan. And the cool thing is that your spouse can actually join also. So your spouse never being part of the city of New York or never worked for the city of New York can take advantage of the New York City deferred compensation plan. Next slide. I put these terms out there because I think these promote conversation. These are really, really good terms. Pay yourself first. It's analogous to planning, but what it is that deferred compensation is employee deductions. So you contribute 3 or 4 or 10% of your salary. It comes out even before you get your paycheck. It could come out pre-tax, so the taxes come out first, or if you're able to, it can come out Roth, so that and a Roth account is a very unique account, whereas when you take the money out, it's going to be completely tax-free. But the idea is to pay yourself first. Think of yourself first with these employee contributions that come out right as your salary is paid to you. Tax-favored plans. Again, that's this thing about contributing pre-tax versus Roth. So it's a very, it's the idea is that pre-tax is where the taxes don't come out when you take the money, when you make the contribution, but you're going to have to pay taxes when you actually take a distribution out. So you're paying the taxes later. A Roth account is where you're just paying the taxes up front. You're getting it out of the way. You're saying, I'm going to pay the taxes right up front on the amount that I want to contribute. But the wonderful part is that when you go and take the money out, the earnings, all of the money that you've made on that are not only the contributions, but the earnings are tax-free. So that's an advantage of being in the Roth, but it's something you have to think about. Dollar cost averaging. What it means is that you have to contribute continuously. Whenever you start, if you started, that's the thing, you have to continue to contribute, because as you all know, you hear it all the time. The markets go up, the markets go down, but you have to contribute. You can't say, no, I'm going to stop contributing because the market's not doing well, or I'm going to contribute more because the markets are doing really well. You have to contribute consistently. That's about savings, because when the markets are down and you contribute, you're buying low, like, you're buying something at a low price, and then hopefully it'll go up. So that's what you want to do. That's so important to do that. Low cost investment options. This is something that deferred comp, and 70% of you hopefully know this, is that deferred comp is over $20 billion. And what that allows us to do is to get very low investment management fees. So the managers that manage the money on behalf of the plan, that is really a big part of my day every day, is negotiating contracts with these investment managers to make sure that we get the lowest possible investment fee, so that because every dollar that we don't pay investment management fees goes to your savings for your retirement. The last thing on this slide is a wonderful conversation, 12 prearranged portfolios. Those of you that are in deferred comp know this is a very simple way to retire. Instead of having, because people get very confused when they're giving choices as to how to invest, because most people don't have the skills to know how to invest. These prearranged portfolios are done for you. They create a professionally managed portfolio, and all you have to do is choose the one that works for you based on your age. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. We are very, very proud of them, and they work in the sense that they help you make decisions without without not making a decision, which, because not making a decision, that means you do nothing and you don't save for retirement. Next slide. So this slide is very important because it's all about planning. It's all about thinking ahead, and insurance planning, if nothing else, it's about thinking for what could happen. And I suggest that when you think about planning for retirement and think about this, you look at the insurance that you need. A lot of people have term insurance. You bought term insurance when you had kids that you were young. Now maybe you're still paying for it. You don't need it anymore. So that's something kind of to think about, to go back to a trusted insurance advisor and to plan with them. Now that I'm getting close to retirement, what do I need? Do I still need this kind of insurance? But things that you do need, things like renter's insurance and homeowner's insurance, you want to make sure that you have these things in place, because those are the kind of things, if you don't have them, they can very, very mess up your retirement. So it's those kind of things that you want to look to and you want to plan for. Something like excess liability insurance. Most people don't think about this, but very, very quickly, the liability on our policies, on our home and our auto and our rental, can be immediately exceeded if we're sued or some accident happens or some kind of incident happens in the home. Excess liability insurance is something that you need to talk about as you're thinking about this in retirement planning, or planning, is that it's a very low cost option that can provide an enormous amount of protection. So that's the other thing. Then you want to come back and look at your New York City insurance benefits, depending through your union or through management benefits fund or through different programs. They may offer different kind of insurance. Again, it's about planning. It's about doing your research and finding out what is available to you, and then sitting down with somebody to help you make the right decisions. Next slide. So tax planning. Tax planning is again, all about planning. And it comes from thinking about, when we talked about pre-tax or Roth, how you want to contribute. This is something that you may want to sit down with your tax advisor and talk about and say, what kind of makes sense for me? When I'm going to go into retirement, should I have more Roth money? Should I have pre-tax money? Because it falls in with looking at that, and I know it's very old, but that three-legged stool, when you think about having your Social Security, and you have your pension, and then you have your savings, which is deferred comp, and how you want to plan for that. And so, there's a tax component that goes into that, because your pre-tax, you're going to have to pay taxes on that in retirement. But if you contributed into Roth, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So that is something that you want to think about. Healthcare flexible spending. This is a very good program that if you're now working for the city of New York and you actually can contribute to the flexible spending program. And then if you have medical expenses that are not covered by our insurance, then you can use your flexible spending account to do that, and then you save on the taxes. Same way with dependent care. Dependent care, if you have childcare needs, you can actually you can contribute to this account to save. The caveat of these programs is that there are use it or lose it functions. So again, it's all about planning. What you do not only when retirement, but each year you have to think about, do these programs make sense for me? Transit benefit is the same way. You have to be able to use it. Does it make sense for you to use it? But it is an available program that is offered through the city that can save you money. Next slide. All right, so estate planning. I know people don't like to think about this, but this is actually one of the most important slides on the chart, because it is really about doing things that can protect your family, but also to make things that can avoid a lot of unpleasant situations. The most important thing I can leave you with, if I'm going to say anything, one of them is that everybody has a lot of different beneficiary designations. You have beneficiary designations on your life insurance. You have beneficiary designations even on your leave payments. So your sick and vacation leave, you have it through deferred comp. I strongly recommend that you look at them. I have terrible stories of where people did not change their beneficiaries or bring them current. And then the money goes to people that it was not intended, and it creates great heartache. So this is something that you have to do about planning, creating a will, creating a durable power of attorney, creating a healthcare proxy, creating a living will. These are things that will make it easier and also to respect your wishes when things happen. Durable power of attorney certainly is a very, very important document that if you're not able to make decisions on your own, you can have somebody that you trust to do that for you. Same way with a healthcare proxy. These things are about planning, about thinking ahead, and about making these kind of choices. Next slide. Okay, something very simple and something people do not do. We are so frightened. We live in absolute fear of somebody stealing our identity and then doing everything and buying crazy stuff and going what on. You can stop this. You can be aware of it by just checking your credit report on a regular basis. Yes, that's all you have to do. If you notice things are wrong, you can immediately take steps to stop it, but you're aware of it. You can do this, and you can get your annual credit report. It's very free. There are even websites where you can go on, and for nothing, for free also, you can get a copy of your credit report. This is the fundamental planning when you're thinking about money and credit and protecting yourself, is looking at your annual credit report, because that, you know, if you want to take out a mortgage, if you want to get a credit card, if you want to buy a car, all of these things are hinged upon having a good credit rating. And it's something you can easily maintain. Obviously, you have to pay your, you know, your bills and your things, your mortgage and your things on time, but you want to be able to look at your credit report. It's something that you should do every year to make sure it is correct. Now, the other thing, obviously, tracking our expenses. We always talk about that. It's very hard to do. I mean, I am very much guilty of what we call this latte factor in my field, where you think, you know, you go out and you buy a cup of coffee for $4.34. Yes, I know how much it costs every single day. And you buy this cup of coffee and you think, it's $4, and it's just that one day. But I do it every single day. And then you do it month after month after year. And all of a sudden, that cup of coffee turns into thousands and thousands of dollars. And you're going, really? This is what I spent it on? You have to think about your daily spending. It's something that you have to plan for. Again, thinking ahead for your retirement, thinking ahead of the goals that you want to achieve. You have to think of these things now. And obviously, one of the most important things, there is no more important thing than establishing an emergency fund. You have to do that. That is before you get into deferred comp, before you do other, you have to create an emergency fund, because there's a very likelihood in people's lives things go wrong, and you have to be prepared for that. You can't contribute to deferred comp. You can't do things. You can't do that unless you have an emergency fund in place, because then everything else, you know, because you can't get immediate access to deferred comp. You can't get immediate access to other funds. You know, there are certain requirements and things like that. You have to have money in a separate account that you can have if things go wrong, and you have to do that first. Next slide. Okay, so I've talked a lot, about financial planning. And you think, okay, you know, financial planning, all of these things I said about retirement, investment, tax, and estate planning, that sounds, you know, for the rich. No, it is absolutely diametrically opposite. Financial planning is for everyone. Everybody has to do it. You're going to have a pension. You're going to have Social Security. You're going to have deferred comp. You have a lot of things that you have to do and you have to plan for. You're going to, you're going to have your city retirement benefits. You're going to have your union welfare benefits, whatever they are. These things you have to plan for. You have to look at and make sure you have an understanding, and you have to think about it now. Financial planning is not for the rich. Absolutely not. It is about planning and working to achieve your goals, and it has to be done. Next slide. These are some of the things. So I saw one of the person's chat, oh, I love to write. I'm going to write a journal. I thought, you know, Toby's thought of writing a journal. So this can be your financial journal if you want to start. Start establishing written goals. Start thinking about in real, collecting that financial information. That's this process. You write written goals. You start organizing. The most important thing you can do is to keep your financial and personal data organized. And then, because only then, if you have this information, can you create and implement a plan. Once you have that plan, you always have to renew it on a regular basis. So here, this is a very, very simple, straightforward checklist. Again, I talked to those 30% of you. If you are not in deferred comp, you should join deferred comp. It is not too late. It is never too late to join deferred compensation because it's employee deductions. It comes out of your paycheck. You can immediately start saving for retirement. That's that part of that. You're sitting on a two-legged stool. You don't want to do that. That doesn't work. All right. So if you're in deferred comp, go back one slide. If you're in deferred comp, considering as you're getting closer, I saw that many of you are close to retirement. You want to continue. You may want to consider increasing your contributions. This is your highest salary. You're getting closer. As you get close to retirement, your salary has gone up. You have the ability. Each time, the thought is that when you get a raise or we get our retros or whatever it is, I've always told people that if you're going to get that 3% raise, just increase your deferred comp at the same time, because you've been managing on the salary that you've gotten. You can live on it. So why not just make that increase go right to deferred comp? So then you don't feel anything. Create and review all of your state documents. We talked about that. Again, I cannot mention, as soon as you get off this call, I expect you to go and look at your beneficiary designations and make sure that they are all correct. Again, set up an emergency fund, start a budget, monitor and review. Again, plan. That's what this is about. Next slide. Now here, this is where I can really help. I can actually give you something that you can take away with and you can do something. Deferred compensation for those 70% of you lucky members who are in deferred comp, there is the Financial Wellness Center. I hope you've heard of it. The Financial Wellness Center offers seminars and individual consultations for only $25. It's quite an amazing program. You can have a one-on-one with a certified financial planner and sit down and have a 90-minute discussion to go over your goals. And they will create a financial plan for you. Now you're thinking, okay, there's something in it for them. No, they work for they're working with the deferred compensation plan. So their interest is just for the participant. They're not, working for a large financial company and they're trying to sell you a product or anything like this. They are part of the deferred compensation plan. So you're going to come in, you're going to sit with them, and you're going to create a financial plan with them. This is a wonderful opportunity for deferred compensation plan participants. The other part is seminars. If you go on the Financial Wellness Center in Deferred Compensation Plan, there are a host of different seminars on all of these topics that I talked about, from money and credit, retirement planning, all of them, they're all there. So finally, this is some additional resources for you to look at. The Deferred Compensation Financial Wellness, thank you for putting that as a slide right there. You go to that, you can find out about webinars, seminars, and individual consultations. It is a wonderful resource for you to take advantage of. And because you're a member, it's there for you to use. So with that, I'll turn it back to Debbie. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Dean. And thank you all. I appreciate all the questions in the chat. And a reminder, the slides and the recording will be shared, as well as all of the links that Dean mentioned. So now moving on, I think you heard the word was planning. So let's do our next poll. Are you a member of NYCERS or one of the other pension systems for that's city employees are eligible for? Great. So far, we are trending over 90% of the participants are already members. That's terrific. And just for time, I'm going to stop it here. So what we have is about 97% are members of a pension system. So those of you who are not, listen to Frank, because he'll let you know why you should be. So it's my pleasure to introduce Frank Brown, our Deputy Director of Pension Outreach Programs at the New York City Employees Retirement System. Take it away, Frank.
Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll try to get through some of this information as quickly and as thoroughly as possible. So a little bit about NYCERS, right? So NYCERS was created by New York State Legislature in the year 1920. It covers many different New York City agencies, right? And because it was created in the year 1920, has been providing retirement benefits to New York City public employees well before Social Security was ever established. NYCERS is, if not one of the largest public employee retirement systems in the United States, with more than 350,000 active members and retirees. That's civilian job titles and uniform force employees as well. So all of the benefits that are provided by the New York City Employees Retirement System, primarily the retirement benefit, all established by New York state law, and all of the benefits that are applicable are protected by the New York State Constitution. So neither could be decreased or diminished in any way. So as we move on to the next slide, we'll talk about funding. So members of NYCERS, regardless of your tier or your pension plan, you make contributions into your NYCERS pension account through payroll deductions. The contribution rate of your deductions are based on your tier and your pension plan. And we'll talk about how you can look at that information in a few moments. NYCERS also utilizes employer contributions. Oh, we'll go back one. NYCERS utilizes employee contributions and earnings from investment funds to pay out a retiree's pension. We'll just move on one more, Deb, just one more slide. We're going back. I don't mind seeing my picture, so I don't mind that at all. So yeah. NYCERS utilizes employer contributions and earnings from investment funds to pay out a retiree's pension. The New York City Comptroller's Office is a custodian of those funds, and NYCERS has a board of trustees that adopts and sets investment policies. Now, as we move on to the next slide, we'll talk about non-members. So we just saw that poll. Majority of us here today are members of NYCERS. There's a small percentage that are not. So if you're listening in who are not yet members of NYCERS, or if you know of someone who is new to their job or new to the agency and not yet a member of NYCERS, you'll want to tell them, please consider joining, consider signing up as soon as possible. This benefit from NYCERS is for New York City employees, right? So it's there for you. Now, for those individuals who are not yet members of NYCERS, we do have a brochure on our NYCERS website, www.nicers.org, brochure number 721. It's called The Top 10 Reasons to Join NYCERS Now, as soon as possible. It lays out all the benefits, right, of NYCERS membership. So we have the primary benefit is a lifetime pension when you're eligible to retire. We also have pension loans, buyback, which we're going to talk about in a few moments, death benefits, disability protection. So that brochure, number 721, lays out all the benefits of a NYCERS membership. If you want to submit a membership application, you can do so online. You do not have to fill out a paper application anymore. You can visit, again, www.nicers.org. You'll see the word join at the top of the web page. If you click on join, it's about 5 steps on how you can submit that NYCERS membership application to join the retirement system. Anyone that decides to join today or any day going forward would be enrolled in Tier 6. The basic retirement plan under Tier 6 is called 63.5. Right, so you're eligible for that lifetime pension when you turn the age of 63, and you only need 5 years of NYCERS membership, minimum 5 years of NYCERS membership to be entitled to a lifetime pension in the future. All right, anyone that's a uniform sanitation, correction, or district attorney investigator that establishes their NYCERS membership today or any day going forward, you are enrolled in the 22-year plan, which we have more information about on our website. Now, once you become a member of NYCERS, you'll absolutely want to sign up and activate your online My NYCERS account, and we're going to talk about that in a few moments, where you can view and have access to many different forms and functions throughout your NYCERS membership, right? So once you join NYCERS, you'll immediately, once you get your identification number, sign up and activate your My NYCERS online account. So we'll move on to the next slide, and we'll talk about what you should know in terms of a membership life cycle, right? So regardless of your tier, regardless of your pension plan, you start to accrue membership service with NYCERS from the date of when you sign up for NYCERS, right? So if you're here today, you submit that membership application today. From today and every day and every hour that you're paid going forward, you are accruing membership service with NYCERS. Every hour that you're paid by your employer, you are accruing service credit as a member of NYCERS. In order to receive 1 full year of service credit, you must have 1,827 hours of paid time. So that's why if you are a new member, you want to sign up as soon as possible so you can start accruing that membership service and you don't have to wait till later on. And again, we'll talk about that buyback item in a few moments. We also have, with NYCERS, we have a mobile app, right? So you can view and access many different items with your pension account on your mobile device. So if you have an iPhone, I have an iPhone, I've downloaded the mobile app. You can go to the App Store, search NYCERS, download the mobile app. If you have an Android device, go to Google Play, search NYCERS, download the mobile app. And you have many different forms and functions available to you. In addition to in the Q&A session, Q&A portion, you know, a lot of people were asking about how much money am I going to get from my lifetime pension? How do I know? You can access the retirement calculator on your mobile, on your mobile device using the mobile app, and again, many other functions available to you. Once you are a member of NYCERS, or if you are currently a member of NYCERS, please make sure you designate beneficiaries on file. You can do that online as well, right? With your computer, laptop, tablet, or your mobile device, right? Please name beneficiaries just in case, you know, knock on wood, hopefully nobody has to go through this process. But if something happens to you and you pass away, your designated beneficiaries would receive a lump sum death benefit on your behalf. So it works very similar to a life insurance policy. You get that with a NYCERS membership. And for the last item on this slide, you know, if you are close to retirement, so, some of us are, you know, a few years away from your retirement, you absolutely want to check out some of our brochures. We have a 5 at 55 legal checklist that will lay out some of the documents you may want to get. Brochure number 726, documents you may want to get in order as you phase in from your employment into your retirement process. All right, so you definitely want to check out, please make a note, 5 at 55 legal checklist. We'll move on to the next slide and we'll talk about some items of what you should do, right? So whether you are already a member of NYCERS or you're thinking about joining NYCERS, right? You'll want to consider buyback, right? So buyback is, for anyone who may not be familiar with that term, buyback is for any New York City or New York State public service rendered prior to joining NYCERS, right? So that time could include, for some people, if you're like me, you grew up in the state of New York, and you may have participated in the summer youth employment program, right? And working in the summertime in between school semesters, that time may be eligible to purchase and could count towards your future lifetime pension benefit. If you went to a CUNY or SUNY college, and you were working for that college, you're being paid by that college directly, that time may be eligible to purchase, and it could increase the dollar amount of your lifetime pension benefit. Or any other service that you've rendered with the city of New York or the state of New York in a public title, you can buy back that time. That could also count towards your future lifetime pension benefit. You'll want to do it sooner rather than later. If you're interested, the longer you wait, the more expensive it may cost you because of the interest involved in a cost for a buyback. So that's something you may want to think about if you're new to NYCERS or up until the point you're thinking about retirement as well. Again, brochure number 967, instructions on how to sign up for an online My NYCERS account. So please, 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 you want to take a look at that. So you have 24/7 easy, secure access to your NYCERS pension account, right? And then very important for those individuals who are close to retirement or a few years away, you want to take a note and download fact sheet number 716. It's called The Road to Your NYCERS Retirement. It's a step-by-step guide on what you need to do in terms of the NYCERS retirement application process, right? All from the beginning of getting an estimate of your pension, all the way to the end about finalizing your retirement benefits. So please go online, download fact sheet number 716. And the last item on this slide, we do have a section on our NYCERS.org website called Resources and Planning for Retirement, where you have important information about NYCERS pension seminars. We're going to talk about that in a few moments. And we also have other resource material from our partners at Office of Labor Relations, right? Social Security Administration, and the Department of Aging. So you definitely want to, if you have a chance, go on our website and check it out. We'll move on to the next slide and talk about some of the features that are available with an online My NYCERS account. So again, number one, again, based on the Q&A discussions that myself and IJ have been having, estimating future retirement benefits, right? You can estimate your pension online with a My NYCERS account. Right, so you can estimate your pension using our retirement calculator. You have many different forms available to you online as well, even on your computer, laptop, or tablet. Applying for a pension loan, submitting a buyback application, updating your beneficiaries online. You can even submit your retirement application online as well. So whether you have a computer, laptop, tablet, you have access to all these features. And if we move on to the next slide, we're talking about the mobile app as well that I mentioned before. So again, iPhone, Android devices, no excuse, you have access to a mobile app. So you can also utilize the retirement calculator, estimate your pension on your mobile device as well. When you log into your My NYCERS account, whether on a computer, laptop, or tablet, or your mobile device, the home page lays out when you would be eligible for retirement, right, based on your age and your pension plan. So that's there for you on the first home page when you land on your My NYCERS account. So whether you're new to NYCERS or if you're close to retirement, even after retirement, you have access to your account with the mobile app or My NYCERS altogether. We'll move on to the next slide. I think we're coming to the end. So some of the mobile app features I forgot. Again, one of the biggest items is estimating your future pension benefit. You can do that on your phone. You can upload documents, submit forms and applications. You can view how much credited service you have and how much money is in your pension account. And again, I mentioned you can manage your beneficiaries. So you can designate, change your beneficiaries, whomever you want. That can be a spouse, family member, friend, even a work colleague. You can designate them as a beneficiary. You can change those beneficiaries at any given time. All right, so that's there for you whether you're online on your computer or on your mobile device. We'll move on to the next slide, and we'll talk about pension seminars. So at NYCERS, we are currently conducting seminars virtually through Zoom, right? Just like how we are here today. If you are interested as an authorized benefits coordinator for your agency, you can contact NYCERS to get a schedule of when NYCERS can present a pension seminar to you. For members, right, please do not contact NYCERS directly. You must contact your agency's benefit coordinator for questions about a pension seminar held for you and for your colleagues, right? So if you are a benefits coordinator, please feel free to contact NYCERS to set up a seminar. If you are a member or an employee and you're interested, contact your agency's benefit coordinator, usually within human resources, on how to get a seminar done for you and your work colleagues. As we move on to the next slide, we do have a schedule of our pension seminars throughout the year that is sanctioned and conducted by NYCERS directly. So we do have a few more pension seminars for this year. We just had one called a Lunch and Learn, where we welcome majority of members citywide to discuss your pension plan and retirement benefits. We do have a seminar presentation, top 10 reasons to join NYCERS. That's for anyone who is eligible to join NYCERS but have not joined yet. We have that seminar there for you. So anyone who's possibly could be tier 6 and 22-year plans. So we have this calendar on our website, www.nicers.org. So if you are interested in attending a seminar that is sanctioned by NYCERS, go on the website, talk to your human resources representative, and try to sign up and register. We have a resource guide, so go on our website. We have the top 10 reasons to join NYCERS, 5 and 55 legal checklist, how to register for my NYCERS, the road to your NYCERS retirement, number 716, that's for anyone who's close to retirement. And then we have our pension seminar calendar available to everyone. We'll move on to the next slide. So, key takeaways. Important to join the NYCERS retirement system, especially early in your career, so you can start accruing that membership service and you can reduce the cost for buyback, right? We have buyback as well for anyone who worked in public service within New York State prior to joining NYCERS. We have our online My NYCERS account and have many different brochures and materials available on the NYCERS website, so please feel free at any time to go on and take a look. So if you have questions about your account or questions about joining NYCERS, you can visit us at www.mynicers.org. You can sign up online for that. We have our contact center available to you Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're open to answer any questions. Lunchtime is usually busy, so if you're calling during the day, please give us a few minutes and we will get to you as soon as possible. As we move on to the next slide, I'll quickly talk about a roadmap and the retirement procedures. So there were some people in the Q&A that were asking, what should I do and when should I start thinking about retirement? When you're ready, number one, you should get an estimate of your pension, so you have an idea of how much money you're getting for your lifetime pension, and then schedule a consultation with your agency's retirement coordinator or timekeeping unit, right? They're going to discuss with you on what your last day on payroll is going to be, and your last day on payroll will determine your retirement date with NYCERS. As soon as possible, sign up for an online My NYCERS account so you have the ability to submit your retirement application on your computer, laptop, tablet, or on your mobile device, right? And we'll move on to the next slide, skip over to some of the next steps. Now, when you submit your retirement application, right, NYCERS will automatically notify Office of Labor Relations of your retirement filing. So if applicable, you can start the health benefits process when you're collecting your pension. Now, you will collect advance payments, right? Partial payments. And again, you'll collect that. How long varies on a case-by-case basis. But once you do get your option letter, you'll want to respond to NYCERS as soon as possible. And then once you have situated the option letter, you want to contact your union and welfare benefits for any other items that you may want to look into while you're collecting your finalized pension benefit. So that is the retirement procedure roadmap. Myself and the director of the Pension Outreach Program here at NYCERS, IJ Stephen, will hang out for a little bit longer and we'll try to address some of the questions in the Q&A. I believe that is the last slide. So Deborah, I'll throw it back to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Frank, and to all of our speakers. I know it feels like this was a fire hose of information. So just a reminder, thank you for those who are still here. We will be sending out the recording. We will be sending out the slides as well as all of the links. If I could just ask those who are with us, I'm sorry we went a little late, if you can just complete this final poll to just give us some feedback about whether this webinar provided you with some additional information, that would be terrific. Thank you. So if you could just fill this out while you're completing that, I'll just let you know when we send out the links and all. I will also be highlighting some of the upcoming events that are coming to Workwell, including, oh, actually, it's not an event, Instagram. If you join or follow us on our Instagram account, you'll be able to get some additional information on financial fitness tips. We mentioned earlier, we have our flu vaccine clinic coming up in September. We also have a take action on asthma, since we know the fall is a big time for folks who are suffering with asthma. And so we'll have some tips and tricks and support for folks with asthma. And then some of you have been asking about the summer wellness block party that was scheduled in June, but because of the Canadian wildfires, we had to shut it down, but it is coming back on September 20th. So finally, thank you. I do feel like we all need to take a breath. Please follow us on LinkedIn. You can email us at workwell@olr.nyc.gov. Follow us on Instagram at workwellnyc. Oh, and they had the link. The first one is the link to our website. Thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Obviously, whether you're retiring this year, 10 years, or never, it's never too early to start planning. That's the key word for today, planning. So if you ever, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here. So have a wonderful day, and thank you for all the service that you provide to New York. Thank you to all of our behind the scenes players who are busily typing answers to all of your questions. We really do appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you.